Board. Board games, board games, that's what I'm talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Board games, I'm starting off the morning. Board games, as usual with a bit of singing. Board games, I'm talking about this one. Board games, couple, a game that's done. By which I mean it's not a prototype. I mean it's been mass produced, not amongst much hype. Coupell is a game that originated with its name back when it was invented. Coupell is, as it might suggest, a game for exactly two. And in Coupell, here is what you do. You make words together if you can. Longer words are your plan. Couple, that's the name of the game. And Bessie Breakfast Blether is the show's name. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Board games, that's what we'll talk about. Hello everybody. Hello Alan. Thank you very much for the compliment. That's lovely. And yeah, we are talking about Coupell. So I am running a little bit behind this morning, but this is the Bessie Breakfast Board Game Blether, as you can see down there, because I am Bez. It is approximately breakfast time, and we are going to blether. And what we are going to blether about is it 2Ps or 1P? I mean, what makes sense? Should it be 2Ps or 1P? Let me know. Because it's meant to be pronounced the same way as the word couple, spelt Couple. But of course, like every game for the deck, it is misspelt intentionally to have ELL at the end. I had to think about that for a moment. That's probably not a good sign. So yeah, what would make more sense to you, 1P or 2Ps? Anyway, so Coupell is a game that I am putting the thing, Coupell, and yeah, why? Okay, so yeah, back. Okay, Coupell. So, what would you like to know about Coupell? And Coupell is a game about cooperatively creating. There we go, finally. Longer words and ending in perfect balance, which is slightly longer than what I had on the back of the box. Harmonious co-op logophilia. That is partially by me, partially by Denim Spur, who helped out with this process. It's for exactly 2 players. Yep, and it's for 25 to 40 minutes, which is about true. And yeah, it's harmonious because you're trying to. It's all about communication. And it's cooperative and it's logophilia because you want to. Alan Outson suggests a double P. Yeah, it is my rules. I mean, it's my game. I can name it literally whatever I want. I could name it, this game is a piece of rubbish and you should never buy this game. I mean, it would probably be terrible for marketing, but I could do that if I wanted. But your notion of the double P, that makes sense. So everyone, let me know. Single P or double P? Coupell. I mean, it also means that there's 2 of it and there's 2 people. That's got the little thing. I don't know. Oh yeah, it would fit on the box for sure. I could put this into like teeny tiny writing if I had a mind to do something like name a game with 2,000 words. You can achieve it. Thank you very much. So, as always, if you like this, then please do let me know that you're watching. Do please comment. And thank you, Alan, for doing so. Do please share it. Let other people know about it. Let other people know that I'm live streaming every morning at 10 a.m. And tomorrow, I believe, is going to be Yes No, a review and a breakdown of Yes No. And we'll probably be spending some time talking about the reviewing process itself. Having some tangents. Tangents are allowed. So tell them, share this episode, share future episodes. Give me a thumb, like, and follow. Today, it's all about the Coupell deck. But first of all, we want to talk about brilliant things. Brilliant things. Here's a little thing that is brilliant. So this morning on Twitter, I was wait, this isn't my daily highlights. You can tell. Okay, my brain's a little bit. Okay, so brilliant things. Let's talk about carpets. Carpets. Not good for the bathroom. No, I don't want to see your carpets there. Don't put your carpets in the bathroom. If you put your carpets in the bathroom, I'll be over and I'll be like, hey, what's you doing with your carpets in the bathroom? That's not a good time. Then it gets wet. It can potentially get moldy. You want something quite clean, something that dries, something that doesn't let the water seep down into itself. No carpets in the bathroom. Conversely, the carpets in the living room. Now, that seems like a reasonable choice. Carpets in the living room, hopefully you aren't dropping wet stuffs. Hopefully you aren't spilling wet stuff around. Hopefully, there isn't lots of foods going flying. And so to that degree, it should be reasonable to clean a carpet. Carpets are harder to clean than tiles or wooden flooring, but at the same time, carpets do feel soft and warm. And it provides cushioning. If you're doing a little bit of a, sit-up, it's nicer to do it on a carpet than on a stone or a wooden or a tiled floor. So carpets, offering that heat insulation, offering that, a little bit of je ne sais quoi, softness. Carpets, good things. Carpets. Now let's talk about daily highlights. Daily highlights. Listening to music and seeing sights. Daily highlights. And carpets are magic. I mean, they can be, literally, but only in fiction, where magic literally exists. Daily highlights. So, thinking about yesterday, I think that I have 2 daily highlights, which I wrote up on Twitter. It's not as many as always, but firstly, I really enjoyed seeing Miles draw out some of the L deck. So yesterday, Miles was doing some demonstrations of the L deck and doing a bit of artwork that I might just show up right now if anyone asks for it. And the other thing that was really nice for me was, just drawing a bunch of cats. That was a nice sort of relaxing thing. And so, just sitting down, getting a chance to draw, even though drawing was clearly for the purpose, it felt good. It felt like I felt relaxed. I felt a sense of achievement from those drawings. Oh, and Alan Outson asks, can I see the art for Wibble? No, this is what I'm saying. It's not Wibble++, because when I named the box Wibble++, people stopped calling it Wibble++ and started calling it Wibble for short. It was never the Wibble deck. It was always the Wibble++ deck, because it was Wibble, a game, plus more. And so I'm not having a go at you, Alan. I'm just kind of, because so many people have said, oh, it's the Wibble deck, and thank you, Wibble++, or indeed, as it's now known, the L deck. And so I'm just going to say everywhere the L deck, typing that into the comments. So the reason why I renamed it the L deck, and this kind of goes to the point, and I feel like I want to explain again, because if someone calls the deck Wibble and someone calls the game Wibble, because Wibble is the name of one of the games. It's a very good game. I'm very proud of Wibble, but there are other games. And so it isn't actually pixel art. It's but you can definitely see it. I will show it whilst I'm having my little rant, of course. allow. There we go. So this is my daily highlight. So this is more a test of the broad shapes and what it would look like. So if we get rid of this banner, then the idea is that this would be maybe something that a card might look like. It's got a bit of a floral theme. So instead of having little borders, which have diagonal lines or triangles or more what do I call that? Horizontal or swirl or there's also the vertical one somewhere. Anyway, so instead of having those suits, I've got these. So you've got different types of trees, which hopefully are discernible. And these letters are approximately the shape that they would be. These 6 suits are therefore a sort of mock-up. And eventually, so that's the kind of theming around the borders, which is what Miles was doing yesterday. And I'm really glad. Excellent. Like your pun. And then going back to Miles did also, the original version was slightly more zoomed out, which might be a little bit harder to differentiate. This is what the typography will all look like in terms of letter shapes at the end. And then in terms of what it will look like texturally, this is an example of an S and a B. And so you can see like it's really that natural look that you talked about. And here we go with the A. And that is the kind of look that we're aiming for, which with each letter kind of constructed out of parts of the nature. Thank you. I'm glad that you like that, and I'll have to pass that on to Miles. And it's lovely seeing Miles come forward with this, and this is kind of going to be, I would say, it's yet another stage in the evolution of the deck. Tomorrow, not likely. It'll probably, I would say, it'll probably be finished in about 2 years. So bear in mind that, there's a lot of work to do with painting 26 letters. This is not Miles's full-time job. First, I need, and honestly, like with this one, we're going to go through a lot of testing. Also, I've got to get the categorical deck done first of all, of course. That should be the focus. I should be doing more art for that each day. And just as soon as, and the second part of the kind of joy that I had yesterday with my daily highlights was my own drawing of cats that I'm sending out to people and other things that I'm sending out to people. Probably on Thursday tomorrow, I'll make a quick trip to the post office. So, drew a bunch of cats, which you can, if you follow me on Twitter, you can see some of the photos. Don't know how quickly I can bring it up, but yeah, I'm sure that Alan Outson would. So if I look at so some of the pictures that I drew of cats, this is someone's cat, and this is my picture. These are some pictures of cats for people who didn't supply a picture of a cat. So I took a cat off the internet, then I drew it 6 times, and then that's probably my favorites of the 6. Let me know, what is your favorites of these 6? Do you have a preference between these 6? I mean, they are actually in sort of order, chronological 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 is the last one. And I started off trying to focus really hard on the markings of the cat. And then towards the end, I just tried to play with the shading and a little bit of the markings. But I think that either that one, possibly with a different tail, or this one, I don't know. Also, I was trying to keep it fairly quick. That is that. Thanks for the Twitter link. And that is some of my cats, and my other cats are here. That's a person who asked for their wife to be drawn as a cat. That's a cat lying down. Someone supplied that photo to me. I'm quite happy with how that turns out. Maybe I'll do more pictures of that, even though,
And that is a cat I'm quite happy with as well. That's probably my favourite picture that I drew yesterday. So yeah, that feeling of accomplishment, even though it's drawing with a purpose, which arguably isn't as nice as drawing with no purpose, because there's a real joy to be had when it's just, yeah, I'm just drawing this, and yeah, I might show it to people, but it doesn't matter. And frankly, with these cats, it, you know, these, it was a cheap, essentially a freebie. It was like £2, and I'm not saying, £2's nothing. £2 is a considerable amount. But if I have something, I don't need to feel paranoid of, oh my god, or am I, yeah, am I like, is this good enough? It's like, well, at the end of the day, remember, it's only £2. I don't need to worry too much. And I did say, like, it's a 2-minute drawing, and most of them were a little bit longer. But maybe for today, I'll actually have a timer on each one. But that is my daily highlight. And now finally, we come to games, 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 games. What have we been playing? What are their names? I might have taken one move in a couple of games in Board Game Arena in the past 24 hours. But yeah, not very much. I did play Back Muckle. Heather didn't enjoy it because it was a bit too complicated. It was not relaxing in the same way as the initial, Micro Muckle and Free Mail or even Balanceable. Heather was like, yeah, this is just a bit too much. This is a bit too much stress. And so I think that, it's a valuable addition. I don't know if I'll give it another go on a Tuesday. It feels like something that might just not be the best sort of thing for live streaming because, yeah, it's not the easiest approach points. And we established that, okay, Micro Muckle and Free Mail are going to be the best approachable points. The next week we'll probably play a shortened version of Free Mail. We also played yesterday Q4U, which I think Heather won. And yeah, Q4U, it worked well. Alan was there. And yeah, Q4U, I will definitely make some tweaks and we'll play it again next Tuesday. I hope that you're looking forward to that, Alan, and anyone else watching. Yeah, let me know. I hope you're okay playing that 2 weeks in a row, and it would be lovely having you again. Oh, brilliant. And Alan does like Can't Stop on BGA. It's got good simplicity and it's quite exciting. Absolutely. And Alan Oughton, I think, is saying Q4U is a good game because I'm just playing these slightly out of order. So, thank you. I mean, I assume you're talking about Q4U there. By the way, please let me know in the comments if the audio on my side ever gets too much. So that is games we've been playing, and it's taken us nearly 20 minutes to go over this. See, clearly I'm a bit brain dead today. Now, let's talk about Coupell. And today I will probably just... Thank you, Alan, for... I probably will just... Yeah, let's just play an entire game. I will teach you the rules and then we can play an entire game. So Coupell. Let's, as I sometimes do, start with what's on the back of the box. Coupell. Let's just focus on this little part. Harmonious. Yep, it's harmonious. You're trying to be in perfect balance. You're trying to communicate well. It's a game about communication where there's not really much restriction on communication. Cooperative. Absolutely. You win or you lose as a team and you're trying to score more together. You know, out of many cooperative games, most cooperative games are, okay, you're playing against the system and then you either win or you lose. There's not normally a score. So in a way, Coupell is quite unusual because you do get to score. As we see on this sheet of rules, which has a little bit of an image, which I hoped would describe Coupell. So you've got long lines of cards and a little bit of love going on. The deck with the discard, and then the personal score pile here and the personal score pile here. And it is cooperating to make longer words whilst being perfectly balanced at the end. That is quite a mouthful compared to everyone else that's got exactly one line for those introductory things. But it felt like this is a longer game. It deserves a little bit more space. Now the overview is still fairly brief. You're a team, work together, move each other's cards, and make cards to score points. The goal is to score the most points whilst ensuring your personal score piles are perfectly balanced at the end. And if I unfold that, then we have this full score sheet, full rules sheet, which gives you a broad overview. I'm very biased because I wrote this, but I've not had lots of feedback on here, but I'm fairly happy with it. So if you've got a copy, please let me know what you think. But the basically setup, each person on their turn draws 3 cards, does a couple of actions, either giving a partner a card, claiming a word, or moving a card in your partner's hand. And in step 3, you count for cards if you've got too many. If you've got 9 or more, you instantly lose. Then you keep taking turns until the deck runs out. Then you check your scores are in balance. If they are, then you win. And if you get 4 or more points, that's success. And I think if your scores are in balance, you're guaranteed to get at least 4. I think it might be mathematically impossible to get less than 4. So yeah, this is kind of peeking behind the curtains a little bit, but it's like, you can enjoy the satisfaction of feeling like, yay, I got at least 4, or then you feel like, hey, I've made some achievements. And there's a kind of thing where 7 to 8 is good, then some number's great, some number's brilliant, and if you're 13 or more, it's a perfect couple. And if it's 19, it's incredible, literally incredible. You must be playing wrongly. Which this entire quarter of the rule sheet is completely superfluous. It's just, giving you examples and in a superfluous picture. An example, blah, blah, blah. And not an example, Ruth and Howl are dancing. That is almost entirely unrelated to these rules. It's almost entirely unrelated because Ruth and Howl did do a bit of blind testing for me. There's rules on communication limitation. You can start off with full communication. You can then later on have limited communication outside your turn, which is, I like these two the best. Basically, you're not allowed to talk except to say yes or no. No communication outside of your turn. This is one that I really like. So you need to be quite proactive during your turn. Say exactly what you're doing. Say exactly what you hope the other person will do, and while they're quiet, and then they can't tell you what to do, but you're explaining your moves, you're explaining your thought process, you're talking to the other person, and then you end your turn, and then you need to be quiet, whilst the other person says, okay, now it's your turn, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that thing that you suggested, but I'm not going to do this other thing because I've got these new cards, because at the start of your turn, you're always drawing 3 cards, and maybe things change. And so and then when you've no communication outside of your turn is really my favorite way. Then you've got full silence, which was suggested by Cardboard Edison. We've got some notes, clarifications, what words are okay, basically check dictionaries. Basically, I want to be fairly permissive. You can check basically any time. Credits history, I like to have a column full of credits. You can read about that later. And some strategy tips. And extra thanks, which these extra thanks are people for the Kickstarter backers. And Matthew Haig, Lars Backstrom, and Nick Smith of the Ludoquist, who has pledged the most to my Kickstarter when I was initially printing the, as it was called back then, Wibble Plus Plus Deluxe. So thank you, Nick Smith, Matthew Haig, and Lars Backstrom for kind of believing me and backing that Kickstarter, because all of my games are on Kickstarter. So that is a very quick overview of what Coupell is all about. This is the box that it comes in. These are the cards. And now that you let me explain the rules, let me quickly go over how it's relevant to me today, and then maybe we can play a little game. I will be one of the players, and then on your turn, like the audience, you can be the other player, and we'll play with because I don't want to stop you from typing, you can communicate anytime, and I'll try to be a little bit more quiet outside of my turn. So we'll just ostensibly play with full communication. Hi, Jess. It's lovely to see you. I did actually basically oversleep this morning. I got up at 9:10. And so after someone was texting me because my alarm, I'm sure I set it off to go at 7, but yeah, I slept for 4 hours. So yay, I thank you so much for being there. Um, and Jess is a lovely, lovely person from Thailand. So hi. Anyway, we are talking about Coupell, a fully cooperative two-player word game. Let me explain how it works. Okay, so to start, I should get the rules there. I mean, you might think that designers know the rules to every game they ever make, but that is not true, especially if you make multiple games, especially if the rules keep changing. So, yeah, set up. Shuffle the card. It doesn't even say shuffle the cards. I guess I didn't have to do that. Deal each player 3 cards face up. I'll do it so that you can see better. Get here. Can you see that? It seems to be a little bit shiny. Oh, there's a bit of a sun glare here. And maybe I need something to shield it from this side. Maybe I need to play on this side of the table. That would work better. Okay, so everyone, we are moving, and this is, so your cards are OU, IB, and IC. Those are your cards. Conversely, my cards are, let's flip some over, NB, and we'll put it, let me do that. Okay, so NB, RW, and NU. This is my lot. This is your lot. And we'll just play a couple of turns, and then we'll come back to it, and then we'll carry on. So, on your turn, actually, let's start from the middle of the game. So, on your, let's say, I had drawn another 6 cards along the edge of the game, and these were how my cards were. You'd drawn another 6 cards, and this is how your cards were. So you've got a little bit more. Now, on my turn, I'm allowed to do 2 actions, 3 possible things. So the 3 possible things are, firstly, this is my pile, but I'm about kind of helping you out, because this is a game about couples. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm looking here, and I'm thinking, what words can I make? Duel? Oh, it could be duel or debutante. No, debutante is way too long. We would never get that. But, so, duel is DUEL. Okay, and I can add in words from here as well. So let me, so we've got, Drek, Dune. Oh, DUNE. So what I might do is take 1 action to move one of your cards. I say, hey, I'm going to move one of your cards. And thank you, Dorukalatoru. That's a lovely thing to say. Thank you very much. And I'm just now explaining the rules of Coupell, and then we'll play. So I'm thinking, okay, I've moved one of your cards. Now, secondly, because this is my pile, I'm going to give you one of my cards, and that's the end of my turn. As you can see in the rules, going back to the rules, it is draw 3 cards, perform 2 actions, and then count your cards. So I have less than 9 cards, so I'm okay. We haven't lost. Now, next turn, you draw 3 cards. So we go to the deck, and we go boom, ba boom, ba boom. Oh, you can't see that clearly. So there you go. So you've got, you could say Dune. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So with 9 cards, you probably start thinking, okay, if I don't give away at least 1 card, we're going to lose. But maybe it's not worth making a word. You could make the word Dune, or you could wait until it was longer. And it's clearly better to wait until it's longer in this game. So maybe you're thinking, okay, I want to get the S to here to make dunes. Because, yeah, let's pluralize it. Let's make a 5-letter word. I mean, that's 1 better than 4. I mean, in this game, basically, a 4-letter word is 1 point, a 5-letter word is 2 points. So a 5-letter word is actually twice as good as a 4-letter word. So it's all about, yeah, let me double check. Yep, claim a word. A 4-letter word scores 1 point, whilst a 6-letter word scores 2. Don't know if you can see that. No, a 6-letter word scores 3. Sorry, I misspoke. But yeah, a 5-letter word scores 2. And so, yeah, you clearly want to jump up to 5 if that's all possible. I mean, 4, it's like, yeah, what are you even doing? That was just if we have to. So now you're thinking, okay, maybe I give you at least 1 card so that we survive this turn, so that you can move my S. Alternatively, I could give you both of these cards, the IB and the IC, and if I do that, these kind of collapse together, so then you'd have dunes already. So I don't know what you feel like you want to do, because this is your hand. Do you want to move one of these cards? Do you want to change something to... you could have Rob, and then you could maybe help try to make me make Shrub, although that would be giving me the... Can you see a word that you could kind of knob? Normal, noon, noob. I think noob would probably be in the dictionary. Maybe you can't think of anything, so you decide, okay, I'm going to just... Oh, toner. Or rubber. Oh, rubber? Oh no, but you've already got the dune here. You don't want to use these cards. I mean, that doesn't work. You want to ignore these cards because these cards are already set up for dune. And, yeah, sorry, this is probably not the best setup. Probably when we start doing this. So we've got, let me, can I put these ones in shadow? It's like a really bad glare in the garden today. So you've got IB, IC, SG, OH, NH, and on the bottom you've got RW, NU, OV, RB. And so I'm thinking, brew. Anyway, let's say that you give me, let's say you give me wound. Maybe you're thinking, oh, that could be wound. So you give me WOUN, and then you're hoping that there's a D later on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which does mean that you're going to have to give me a card. Now, on my turn... Oh, ruin. Oh yeah, we could have done that. Anyway, it's too late. My turn, draw 3 cards. Oh my god, if only we'd done ruined. So, maybe... Oh, we could even have rubber. RUBBER. If only I give you that. Because... So, first, I'm going to move this S. And then I'm going to go... Yeah, rubber would be amazing. And so I'm going to go... Hey, here, let's forget about... Unless we do wounded or... Oh, I'm not quite sure. Rubber. I'll give you the IY just to keep us alive. And then on your turn, okay, now you're 1, 2, 3. Because it's only at the end of your turn that you count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's all good. You get 3 more cards. It's quite a long thing. I really should have a tripod here. But going back to the starts of the line, dunes. You score dunes for 5 letters, discard 3 of them into the discard pile, and keep 2 of them as your points. And that is how you make points in this game. And so you've kind of got an idea of the game. It's about I give you cards, I move your cards, I help you out, and I make my own words. So it's kind of meant to be a simulation of a couple. And that, I guess, brings me to how this game started. How did this game begin? This game all started back in the day when the naming convention for the deck had already been established. Dave Wetherall had been smart enough to think, hey, these games could be called alphabetical because you've got one about the alphabet, maybe phrasal because you've got one about the phrasings, and maybe fable because you've got one about storytelling, and maybe the one about words could be called, I don't know, Wordle. Now, Wordle was never a good game and a good name, and that got renamed as Wibble. And the other thing that I did is I decided to intentionally misspell all of these names. So I was thinking, okay, having that little bit of visual continuity, is a nice thing. And so at a certain point, I was like, okay, what other words, what other game names could be devised using this system? I mean, we've got destructible, terrible, triple, couple. And the name Couple, it sparked my imagination. I was like, okay, what would a game called Couple be all about? Back then, I was in a relationship where we spent a lot of time spooning, and the question was, okay, what's if the person at the front has some cards? So maybe this is a game that you play potentially while you're spooning, because maybe the person at the front has some cards, and the person at the back, is able to see a couple of cards, but they're also able to see the cards of the little spoon. So that was an idea, and then I was like, okay, what if you move around the cards for each other? Maybe I was inspired by the Bonanza system of, okay, you've got a bunch of cards in your hand, and you're never allowed to change their order. And in Bonanza, the way that you effectively change their order is by giving away cards when you're making trades. So you actually want to give up cards, which might be useful to someone else, even not getting anything in return, purely because having a card in your set sequence is a liability because you have to plant them all in order. That's a genius mechanism. In Couple, I was very much inspired by that. I'm fairly sure let's see what I wrote in the credits. The name came first, yep, and Dan Barker established the name suggested a 2-player co-op for couples. And so anyway, the deck order was by Bonanza. I was like, okay, maybe you're moving each other for each other, like you're kind of being helpful to each other. You're sort of, I've heard of this film Ghost. I watched a series called Community where they made a reference to Ghost, where yes, I've never seen the film, but I know exactly what you mean, with someone sitting behind someone else kind of guiding their potter's wheel. And that is exactly the sort of simulation that I wanted. Now, eventually I was like, this isn't quite working. I did a little bit of solo testing because it is a 2-player game. I didn't want to just show it to my partner and kind of be like, hey, what do you think of this? Do you like this game? Because we did play some board games together, but we didn't play them frequently enough for me to waste their time on something that might or might not be good. What I ended up doing was to say to them, hey, was to say to myself, hey, let me simulate the 2 players. Let me try and just play about and see how it works, moving the cards around, and it just didn't work. The little spoon, I couldn't get enough control. I wanted to have a sort of thing where the little spoon had limited information, the big spoon had a bit more information. It didn't feel equitable. It felt like a bad relationship between the players. And so what I then did was having something a little bit more equitable, which in a way is a nicer relationship, not just between players, but also in a couple. And in a lot of ways, the game was built to represent some aspects of what I consider being a couple to be. Now, we started off having, okay, everyone's got their own pile. I'm putting things into your pile. You're putting things into my pile, but I'm not allowed to take, because the relationship shouldn't be about taking. It should be more about giving and being like, hey, I would like this. You can be assertive. You can say, hey, I would like this, but ultimately it's down to the individual to say, yes, I'm willing to give it to you. and you can move things with the other person and in the other person's thing. I feel like if I were to rewrite the rules, I'd probably add in a little bit about their permission, because it's always going to be with their permission, but maybe just during that they need to nod their assent or something. And yeah, if they decline, then maybe if they decline twice in a turn, then the turn is over. Something like that to keep it moving along. So you can't just say, hey, would you like me to do this? No. Would you like me to do this? No. Would you like me to do this? Oh, yes. So you can't just do that out of, something like that. Because moving other people's, it strikes me now that it could be analogous to a somewhat controlling relationship, because, hey, you shouldn't be actually dominating everything about someone else's life, but it's nice to kind of take care of them and be like, hey, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to move your things for you. There, I'm going to move your cards. And that it's that kind of dichotomy of you move the other person's cards, but you make cards using your own, you make words using your own cards. That was the key aspect. And of course, the hand limit is just to avoid people taking infinitely long. The car length of words -3 worked as a, okay, you really want to make long words. Making a 4-letter word, that's a fairly easy thing to do. Surely everyone should be able to do that. And hey, if you make a 5-letter word, which as we saw, we could turn dune into dunes. Sometimes you can pluralize something. If you don't make at least a couple of 5-letter words during your game, I'd be surprised. But if you're working hard, you might be able to avoid 4-letter words entirely. And that is a nice kind of thing that I guess I chanced upon somewhat. I just said word length -3. That's a really simple thing, but it works for the game. There's possibilities that it could be slightly more improved. And then the final thing, which, where do we go? The notion of the separate scoring pile that had to be exactly equal came from Liam of Black Lion Games. Now, Black Lion Games, Black Lion Games, where was it? There, by my finger. I was showing the game to Liam of Black Lion Games, which is a shop in Edinburgh. And Liam was like, okay, thank you for showing me this game. But Liam was really open to me showing them in a bind and all the Wibble games, all the, see, I say it myself, all the LDEC games and everything else back when, you know, nobody knew who on earth I was. And so Liam of Black Lion Games was playing this game with me. Lovely shop. Check them out when things are open again in a couple of months in Scotland. And yeah, Liam, we just started naturally having our scored cards in 2 separate piles because Liam had theirs near them. I had mine near myself. And then during that game, a flash of inspiration came to my mind, sparked by this random practice that Liam and I had seemingly adopted. I was like, well, there's 2 scoring piles, that makes sense. What if they need to be exactly the same? And so that's the way the game has ended up. You score your own points. You live your own life. You are your own person. But at the end, it's about staying in balance. It's about having that, you know, balanced relationship, that one person shouldn't be dominating and getting everything. And I know that, you know, we can have discussions, and if this person's watching, I don't want to cause strife, but like the notion of a flower and a gardener, as someone said, like the gardener is someone who kind of cares for the other person, the flower is someone who wants to kind of be cared for. I mean, it's that when I think about it now, that doesn't really feel like a healthy relationship. It feels like in a healthy relationship, you both care for each other. You both want each other to be doing really well. And it's not just about, okay, one person gets all the words and one person does everything. It's about you're both making words and you're both working together. And that's the thing that I'm really proud of. By the way, given the time and given how difficult it was to play with my current camera setup. I don't think we're going to play the multiplayer game, but maybe that's something that I can work on, getting a better camera setup for a future thing that we'll play it together on Wednesday or something. Anyway, so I had some things that I wanted to talk a little about. So starting with the name, how did it develop? I think I've basically gone into everything. Yeah, Playtest UK, a great place for reciprocal testing. Many thanks to Paul Mansfield and David Brain and everyone else who tested it. Laura Wood for coming over, playing a few games, Mutual Pondering. Daniel Barker got me to HateCon, where there was a fair bit of early testing, Hackney area, tabletop enthusiasts. And yeah, Daniel Barker, whilst I was making the original deck, and so many other people, Andy Angu, who hosted Enfield playtests, Brett Gilbert, Rob Harper, Karen, for blind testing, because blind testing is a bit more strenuous and a bit more difficult than just testing a game. When you're testing a game, you just play it, or you play some portion of it, and then you express your thoughts. And so at least you're getting taught the game. That's a nice thing. But when you've got to learn from the rules, learning from the rules isn't something that anyone likes to do, but some people are going to have to do. And so blind testing is when I just give you the rules, I give you the printed out rules, and then I step back, and then I watch you. I don't say anything, but I just watch you. And maybe that sounds unnerving, but it's super critical. It's about me just watching you and seeing where you messed up, seeing where did you have difficulty with the rules. And at that point in the game, hopefully all the rules of the game are fixed, but the wording of the rules, exactly how it's laid out, that is all. There's still quite a lot to go. And that was actually a previous rulebook, and it was ultimately when I turned that previous rulebook and reformatted it to fit this paper shape, Ruth Knox and Howl of Cakes and Latters blind tested it, and I think there was very little that I did based on them, but those tiny details, they help. And yeah, again, apologies to everyone that have not mentioned, and it was proofread, if not blind tested. I didn't actually watch them, by Mick Wood, who is someone who agreed to give me a bit of a help. Aidan Laufer, who has now made their own game, Stellar Eclipse. Michael Belsole, who organizes the tabletop network and mentorship program, lovely person, lived with me for a bit. Chris Zinsley of the Cardboard Edison, and Rachel Mortimer, Chris and Rachel, I kind of paid both of them for the privilege of them, checking out the game. Now that is the how it develops, and that's the thanks for everyone. How do I feel about the game now? I'm very proud of it. I feel very happy with it. I feel like it's not something I will be likely to demonstrate at any convention, because it's a long game. It's something that takes maybe 40 minutes for your first game. It's probably going to be an hour if you're actually playing for the full thing. I do a demonstration where I say, okay, we start off on the kind of 3 turns before the end. And that's the way I sometimes demonstrate it at a convention. But it's not a great convention game. I mean, in terms of table space, I'm paying for that table. If there's only 2 people at that table for a whole hour, just pure... It does kind of come down to finances. That's not great return on my financial investment for the table. But as a game that I might choose to play myself, I'm very happy with it. I remember teaching it at drafts at the end of last year when I worked in drafts, and people loved it. And in a way, it's sad that I don't teach it that often. Maybe I should teach it more often, because I'd like to see how people respond to it. I'd like to watch people enjoying it. I don't play it that much myself, because it doesn't really come up. But why was this game? I'm happy with it. Jump ahead. Why was this the 6th headline game for the deck? So I think there's a person, quite a popular Rado runs through Wibble. Here we go. And if I start playing Rado's video and silence it, and so Rado is a popular reviewer, gameplay run-througher who basically plays a game, and then other people say, "Oh, that game looks interesting," or "That game doesn't look interesting," and either way, yeah. So this is Rado talking about the original L deck, and then they played a whole bunch of different games. This is them talking about Wibble, I believe. Then this might be them doing Fable. And then finally, then at the end, they start talking about Coupell. And then they explain that for them, personally, all the previous games were simple party-ish games. They are games that whilst they enjoyed, they maybe, they felt like Coupell was the one that was, okay, this is a real meaty game. This is like, okay, a good half hour, and hey, this is something to sink your teeth into. Oh, there we go. Now they're... Oh, wait. Why are they not talking about Coupell? Oh, now they're talking about Coupell. So this is them doing a run-through of Coupell. And, yeah, they get a couple of rules wrong. And you can... Klingon, you can... With Rado runs through, when they make rules mistakes, they actually correct it on the thing. So, because Rado responded so well to this game, that is honestly, that is why Richard Ham, is the reason why Coupell became the 6th core game. If you look at the original rules in the little tiny box, it says Puzzle is going to be the 6th core game for the deck, and I was all set to do that. I had the rules laid out, so I was ready to share it online. And then I was talking to Rado, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, you might like this 2-player game. And I was like, yeah, I'm really proud of this 2-player game now that I've developed this 2-player game with everything else. So I've got to so we don't have any 1-player games, but we also don't have any meaty, long games. I mean, sure, Fable might say it's 15 to 30 minutes, but that's 15 to 30 minutes of a creative exercise. Everything else is, everything else is a short game. It's quite simple, alphabetical. You could play 1 round of it if you really wanted. Whereas Coupell is the meaty thing. And so I thought, you know what? Coupell might be the thing to kind of... It was basically a judgment call. Did I prefer Coupell or did I prefer Puzzle? Which one was a better thing to introduce people to? And so, yeah, Coupell became the one that I felt was a better... This represents the deck better. I feel like Coupell is a slightly better game than Puzzle. At least I did back then. And also, with Puzzle, something that I still have to do, and I might do a live stream of this quite soon, and then I've got to get Rachel Mortimer the rules to proofread, because Puzzle is going to be the core game for this deck. And because jumping ahead, next week I'll talk about Mikkel. So Puzzle, I thought what I really want to do, because in Puzzle there's 20 permutations. I want to be able to say these are the easiest permutations. This is the order of difficulty, because that would be a nice little thing to have a checklist. And then when the deck came out, so I was like, wait a minute, I might start changing a few letters. And when I thought I might change a couple of letters, that massively encouraged me to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to hold fire on Puzzle, because it matters for Puzzle, where the relationships of what letter pairs are in the suits matters for Puzzle, but it doesn't matter at all for Coupell. For Coupell, the borders are completely superfluous, and the numbers are something that I would probably start to think about. Anyway, so that's it. Why it became the sixth core game. Finally, who is Coupell good for? Well, I would say that Coupell, it is a game that, like any true cooperative game where you're talking like Pandemic or whatever, or like Thunderbirds, you could play it on your own. You could just go through it and play for multiple players, and you will have the same experience, arguably, as if you were playing with full communication. If you ever wanted to then try limited communication or no communication and start playing with, obviously you aren't getting that experience. But I would say that it's a fine game for one player to play on their own if you want to have a solo game, although I might recommend Mickle now that that's around. But yeah, I would say that Coupell, if you've not played it, if you can find someone else who likes word games, then try it with someone else. And because you're talking to each other, you'll teach each other some words. You learn, hey, I can make the word haloed, Haloed. Is that how you spell haloed? Oh, nice. And then you learn you're sharing that moment together. You're sitting down, maybe with your partner. I would say this is a good game, as the name might suggest, for a couple. It is explicitly designed to be played by a couple, to be played by a couple of people who are going to respect and care for each other, and who don't have too much ego involved. I think it's a really nice game. I'm proud of it, and yeah, it's a good game for a couple if you're wanting to play something that's a little bit more mentally strenuous, a little bit more mentally involved. You can take your time over it. You can take 45 minutes. You could take half an hour or 25 minutes if you play quickly. And yeah, that's who it's good for. I don't think I've really come to any strong conclusion about Coupell. I've just not. It's probably, almost certainly, the game I've played the least since it was done. Yeah. I mean, Mickle, I feel like, okay, I'm going to give that a go. I'll play it on my own. It's designed for one player. Yeah, I'll give it a go. It feels, one downside of Coupell, if I'm going to talk about the downsides, is that it takes a lot of table space. This is where I think that the half-size cards would actually be quite good. And I'm thinking about bringing out the half-size cards after the categorical deck. Tell me, would you like cards like that are half the size? Would you buy a deck that was half the size for maybe a $5, or maybe $7.50? I don't know. I feel like it should probably be $7.50 for me to make the money. Yeah, I've been talking to Amy about this. Anyway, but yeah, that would be sort of a budget deck, and then that would be once, and maybe the budget deck would come with a QR code for the digital version of the book once I've designed the book that we talked about last night, which is going to be the book with my top 26 games in it. Anyway, Coupell takes a bit much space on the table. Back in the day when I thought, oh yeah, you can theoretically play with all these cards in your hand, you might go up to quite a lot. So it can be quite hard to spread them out sufficiently. That can be challenging. You probably just want to spread them out on the table. Alan Oudson, no. Wow, that is a really loud bird. It's like a beautiful black tail and shiny blue stuff. Anyway, the print costs would definitely be smaller, and I'd be printing it just in black and white with 270 grams per square meter cardstock, as opposed to 300, whatever this is. I think it's 305 with linen finish, which is why, although this version's a bit old, you can still feel a slight texture, and it helps when you're shuffling. It means that they have a little bit of friction when they're sliding around. Anyway, with the smaller deck, it would be printed a bit cheaper. It would be printed in a tiny tuck box, so not like this, but with the little boxes with the folding tabs. And so that's why I think, yeah, I could afford to sell it for $7.50. Alan Outson, yeah, why aren't you sure about a smaller deck? That is genuinely for utility. It's kind of so you can play it on the back of a plane or whatever. Anyway, that's a separate discussion. Let me know all your thoughts. So, Coupell, do you have any questions about Coupell? Please ask me. Yeah, I guess this has been more of an introduction to Coupell. I haven't really gone in depth as I have for some games in the past, and truth be told, I might go less and less in depth as I get to Mickle and Categorical, because those have only been around for a couple of years and 1 year respectively. Coupell is, what's the maximum score? Well, no. The maximum score, as I worked out, is 18. That's why 19 is literally incredible. You must be playing wrongly. So, yeah, each time you make a word, 3 of the cards are removed. So let's say you've made a 10-letter word. That means that you score 7 points. Let's say you make... each person essentially has 24 letters on their side, because I've got 24 letters to try and score with. You've got 24 letters to score with. So in theory, okay, 24 might be the most, but you're not going to be able to score all 24 at once. You can't have 24 letters in your hand. You can have a maximum of 8 at the start of your turn. So 8 at the start of your turn means that the most letters you can have are 8 at the start of your turn, plus someone else gives you 3, plus you get another 3. No, sorry, plus someone else gives you 2 for 10, plus you get another 3 for 13. So you could have half of your allocation. You could have 13 cards in your hand, theoretically. In theory, if you can make a 12-letter word, I repeat, just because, you know, the notion of making a 12-letter word for me is quite unbelievable. But if you can make a... Actually, maybe incredible should be renamed impossible. That's what I'd probably do for a future printing. Because incredible just... I mean, frankly, 16 would be incredible. 18 would be incredible. That would mean that for 18, you've made a 12-letter word, so you get 9 points, and then you make another 12-letter word, and then you get 9 points. And your partner makes 2 12-letter words, and with that, then you score 18 points. So if you've somehow managed to make a 12-letter word, 4 12-letter words in one game and nothing else, then you score 18 points, and that is the hypothetical maximum, which is why 19 says incredible, but it should be impossible. And 13 is really difficult in and of itself. Yeah, literally, if you're making 8-letter words, then that's 5, and that's 15. If you're making nothing but 8-letter words, then yeah, 5 cards for each word. There 8 threes goes into 24, so each 8 you're scoring 5, so that's 15. And so I would say 15 is where it starts to be incredible, to me at least. If you're making 15, I'm like, wow, I want to see a playthrough of that game. Yes, I would rename 19 as impossible. Literally impossible, as opposed, and mathematically impossible. So that is... I'm happy to be able to answer that question. I'm happy to have any other questions. Feel free to ask me. If I haven't finished my Daily Hope ambition, then I will answer your questions. So to recap, Coupell is a game for the L deck. I call it the L deck rather than the Wibble ++ deck, because people were calling the Wibble ++ deck the Wibble deck, and I didn't want them to do that. And yeah, I wanted them to have another name. So then I had a competition, and now it's just the L deck, which I'm quite happy with. In conclusion, there are going to be new versions of the deck, And the version that I showed you was actually designed around Coupell, because Coupell is a slow, sedate game. Coupell is a gentle, relaxing game wherein, you know, you take care of each other. And that's why something like the graphics that I showed you earlier, that I'm trying to bring up now, these graphics, why these nature-themed graphics are, you know, quite reasonable for a game of Coupell, because Coupell is meant to be a relaxing game. Coupell is meant to be a gentle, slow, sedate game where, yeah, maybe you appreciate the nature and the things around you. And yeah, you've got gentle, you know, typography that maybe slows you down a little bit. Where you've got lovely floral designs and stuff like that, which I am looking forward to printing. And this is, like I was about to say, the next step in the evolution of the L deck, because I kind of think of the L deck. It started off with Wibble, and then it was Wibble++, and I made other games. And then the next step is really going to be, you know, having categorical, having something that someone else designed, having that be, you know, the titular name of a deck. That's going to be a big jump. And then having someone else do, you know, the art for a deck, because up until now, it's always been my art. And I'm starting to explore. I'm talking to people saying, hey, would you be interested in doing this art? Let's talk it through. And if you're out there, if you're a typographer, if you think that your typography is able to bring something of beauty, basically it needs to be looking good, basically up to this sort of standard, of the standard that you see. And if you can do really nice typography, I would love to work with you. My current rates are going to be £200 for doing the work, and then that can be considered an advance and 10% of all royalties. I think that that kind of feels like a fair thing. Anyway, so that is what I've decided is a reasonable thing. And Coupell is a game for two players. It's a slow, sedate, cooperative game. It simulates a relationship between two players. And I would say for the maximum experience, play it with two players. But if you can't find another player to play it with, give it to go on your own, I guess. And that is the recap. And I guess there's no more questions from Alan. That's slightly sad. But looking forward to, what am I looking forward to? Looking forward to, let me hear. What are you looking forward to? That's a terrible song. Okay, looking forward to. I am looking forward to today, Chris and McCall coming over and hopefully working to try and resolve some relationship disputes, let's say that way. And we're about to hit, okay, Alan is all good, which I'm happy. And feel free to tell me what you are looking forward to and what is your daily hope and ambition. My daily hope and ambition is to quickly, in the next 10 minutes, get an update sent to the categorical deck with the R, and then maybe do a little bit more drawing. There's a fair bit more drawing for me to do this afternoon after I've spoken to Jason. That's my daily hope / ambition. Oh, the 3D printing material might be arriving for Alan. Awesome. And there are exciting things to look forward to, even in lockdown. And if you have enjoyed this, then please do reach out. Oh, as I always say, do follow and where's that? Comment, share, like, and follow. Thank you, Alan, for following along in the stream. Thank you, Jess, for being there for me. If you liked it, do share, do give it a thumb, do give it a like, do give it a follow. And feel free to reach out to me on stuffbybez.com or twitter.com/stuffbybez or instagram.com/stuffbybez or twitch.tv/stuffbybez or facebook.com/thingsbybez, because Facebook does not let you have the F and the B next to each other, but it does let you have F and B kind of next to each other in the page name. So it's stuff space by space bez. you can search for it, or the URL is facebook.com/thingsbybez, or my email is stuffwithbez@gmail.com. And that is everything today, and that is the end of the show. And all that is left to do is to say... Oh, wait. I need to talk about my next stream. Oh, my next stream is tomorrow. I'm going to be reviewing that game, yes, no. I'm going to be seeing if I can encourage Chris to come along and join me in my garden, and because they really didn't like that. But I'm going to be reviewing it, even though I've only played it once. It's a fun experience. I like it, although it's really badly flawed. That is my next stream. I'll be back tomorrow. Please check it out. For now, bye-bye, bye-bye. This is a bye-bye song. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye-bye, bye-bye. This is the end of the show. Bye-bye, bye-bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, bye-bye. This is the bye-bye song. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye-bye, bye-bye. This is the end of the show. Bye-bye, bye-bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye.